You ever hear a story so shocking that you wouldn't believe it if there weren't witnesses to see it unfold? Well, this is one of those stories, a story about neighborhood rules, a brave daughter, and a retired Navy SEAL who had to remind everyone that some lines shouldn't be crossed. Before we dive in, comment what city or country you're watching from. Let's see how far this story travels. It was a bright Saturday morning in a quiet suburban neighborhood, the kind where children ride bikes on clean sidewalks and neighbors greet each other over white picket fences. The sun was just rising, painting the manicured lawns with a warm golden hue. Birds chirped in the trees, seemingly unaware of the drama about to unfold. Inside one of these houses, a little chaos was brewing. Emma, a lively 17-year-old with an infectious laugh, was practicing her violin in the living room while her younger brother, Liam, tried to concentrate on his homework at the kitchen table. Their mother, Sarah, was busy sipping her coffee, glancing occasionally at the clock. From the street, the familiar hum of a lawnmower paused as a small group of HOA enforcers approached the driveway. They were a uniformed, serious-looking team, clipboards in hand, and an unmistakable sense of authority. They had knocked before, complained about minor landscaping rules, paint colors, and mailbox styles, but today, it seemed, they were more aggressive than usual. Emma stepped onto the porch when she noticed them. "Hi, can I help you?" she asked politely, her voice steady but tinged with curiosity. The lead enforcer, a tall man with a sharp jawline and a clipboard clutched in his hand, didn't answer immediately. He looked her up and down, his expression unreadable. "Your landscaping violates HOA guidelines. You need to address it immediately, or we'll have to take action." Emma frowned. I didn't realize. But we've been maintaining the lawn every week. Can you tell me what exactly the problem is?" The enforcer's lips tightened. "That's not your decision to question. You'll need to comply." Emma's patience began to fray. "I'm just asking for clarity. I don't want any trouble." Before she could step back, the enforcer moved abruptly, shoving her lightly. Emma stumbled but quickly regained her balance. "Hey! Don't touch me," she exclaimed, her voice rising in alarm. At that very moment, inside the house, her father, John, a retired Navy SEAL, heard the commotion. He was in the garage, tinkering with a vintage motorcycle he had been restoring for months. The clatter of a dropped clipboard and Emma's raised voice made him freeze mid-motion. Instinct took over. John stepped out, his eyes narrowing as he assessed the situation. The enforcers froze, suddenly realizing they were dealing with someone who carried himself differently. His posture was calm but commanding, his presence alone demanding respect. "Is there a problem here?" John asked, his voice steady but with a subtle edge that hinted at decades of discipline and training. The lead enforcer straightened, trying to mask his hesitation. "Sir, your daughter was resisting compliance with HOA regulations." John's gaze shifted to Emma, who was taking a deep breath, trying to steady herself. "She wasn't resisting." She asked the question. "I think you need to leave before things get unpleasant." The enforcer hesitated, then stepped closer. "Sir, we're just doing our job." "Your job isn't to shove my daughter," John interrupted, stepping forward with a calm intensity. His voice carried the weight of authority, the kind you don't challenge lightly. "Now step back." For a tense moment, no one moved. The air felt thick, almost electric. Emma's heart raced, unsure if her father would yell or something worse. But John's eyes didn't leave the enforcers. He didn't shout. He didn't make threats. Yet, every movement he made told the intruders that crossing a line would have consequences. Finally, the lead enforcer took a cautious step back, then another, his team following him reluctantly. "We'll be filing a report," he muttered, trying to salvage some semblance of authority. John nodded once, slowly, and turned to Emma. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice softening immediately. Emma rushed into his arms. "Yes. I'm fine. Thank you, Dad." Sarah appeared on the porch, eyes wide, clutching her coffee cup. "John, that was incredible. How did you stay so calm?" John smiled faintly. Years of training teach you to control the moment before it controls you. But more importantly, you never let anyone lay hands on your family. Emma looked up at him, still trembling slightly. I was scared, but I knew you'd handle it. John knelt down, brushing a strand of hair from her face. You were brave too. You stood your ground without panicking. That's what matters. For the next hour, the enforcers loitered on the street, muttering amongst themselves, clearly frustrated that their show of force had been diffused without a single raised hand from John. Emma, Liam, and Sarah went inside, locking the doors behind them, the tension slowly dissolving into relief. Later that afternoon, the family gathered in the living room. The sunlight poured through the windows, and the house felt warmer, safer, as though the day's ordeal had strengthened their bond rather than broken it. You know, Sarah said, pouring herself another cup of tea, I've lived here for years and never seen anything like this. I can't imagine how it must have felt for you, Emma. Emma shook her head, a small smile playing on her lips. It was scary, but also kind of amazing. Dad didn't even yell. He just handled it. John chuckled softly. Calm, clear, and controlled, that's the key. Sometimes you don't need action to make a point. Presence is everything. Liam, who had been quietly observing from the sofa, piped up. I want to be brave like Dad when I grow up. John ruffled his son's hair gently. You already are, little man. Courage comes in many forms. Today, Emma showed it by standing her ground, and I showed it by protecting my family. Together, we're stronger. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the family sat on the porch. Emma strummed her violin softly, the notes drifting through the neighborhood, peaceful and unthreatening. The events of the morning felt almost surreal now, like a storm that had passed and left everything brighter in its wake. John watched his daughter play, Sarah sipping her tea, Liam leaning against the railing. You know, John said quietly, sometimes life throws challenges at you when you least expect it. But the way you respond, that's what defines you. Emma nodded, her eyes reflecting the fading light. I think I understand, Dad. I'll never forget this day. And in that quiet suburban neighborhood, under a sky streaked with pinks and golds, peace had returned. Not because the enforcers left, not because rules were followed, but because a family had stood together, calm, courageous, and unshakable. If you enjoyed this story, like and subscribe for more.